Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people for your June 18th. And here you go. So happy Saturday and all that. You got all the topics? You all set? Remember, there's always chapters at the bottom of a news video. So let's go ahead and jump right in talking about the first item on the board, which is Barry Trotz. Now you have Trotz and you have Torts in the same video, so I got to keep them away from each other, because otherwise I may say the wrong thing and that doesn't work. Now, Barry Trotz is apparently still in the running for the Winnipeg job, even though there is the discussion of him buying a home in Nashville and whether or not he may end up moving into a management position there. And again, it would make some sense if he was, but he's still in the mix for Winnipeg, so we'll see how things turn out. He was in the running for the Philadelphia job too before Tortorella ended up getting it. The deadline is supposed to be, according to media reports, I think it was Elliot Friedman said that the expectation is that he will make up his mind by the 1st of July. So 1st of July is the deadline for Barry Trotz to make up. And again, there's no rush. He doesn't need to rush. At the end of this, he's going to get the job he wants. And I think he's perfectly happy that if the job he wants falls apart between now and the 1st, he moves on to the next thing. I don't think he's overly concerned. I think he's okay with it. So kind of nice to see him, taking some time and thinking it through and all that fun stuff. Next on the board is Jesper Bratt. So Jesper Bratt had a fantastic season for the New Jersey Devils. Now, reportedly, and Kevin Weeks is reporting this morning as well, negotiations between the Devils and Bratt aren't going that great. It's an interesting dilemma that New Jersey finds themselves in. Bratt had a fantastic year. Can he repeat it? There's reason to believe that, he should be able to, but his career numbers haven't been that high. And yes, I know that his ice time's been better this year, and new coach definitely helps, but New Jersey needs to make sure they're not giving him a huge contract that they're going to regret a year or two down the road. And so there's also the discussion of whether or not he's going to be on the trade market and what they might be able to get. And what they'd be able to get for Bratt right now, of course, is a lot higher than it would have been, say, a year ago. So maybe they go that route. And again, the Bratt situation is similar to me to the DeBrincat one going on with Chicago. The difference being, DeBrincat, I think, has proven he could be a superstar year after year after year. And yet with Bratt, he's done it the 1 year. I think he can do it, but he hasn't done it yet. So we'll see how this turns out, whether or not New Jersey's playing hardball and they're going to come back to him and they're going to figure out some kind of an agreement with him. But at this stage, it doesn't appear that anything's getting done. So as soon as this video goes live, look for a multi-year extension between Jesper Bratt and the New Jersey Devils, and you're welcome. That's usually how that works. All right, next on the board is Jay Leach. So the Boston Bruins looking for familiar people. Jay Leach briefly played with the Boston Bruins, but he was part of that organization for a bit. And so they're interviewing him for the job of head coach of the Bruins. They're doing their due diligence with this. He's not the first, likely won't be the last they're interviewing either. So they're taking their time. Again, I would not be surprised to see some of these coaching vacancies go at least until the draft. Might end up being a little bit beyond the draft. But, we'll see. There are a lot of vacancies and a lot of very talented assistant coaches, very talented AHL coaches, very talented hockey minds all around. And so I don't think there is a need to rush it. I don't think there is. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Tampa Bay, an interesting stat going into tonight's Game 2 against the Colorado Avalanche. They've never lost a Game 2 in a Stanley Cup final. So they won it in 2004. They lost it in 2015. They won it in 2020 and 2021. So that's 4. And they've never lost a Game 2. So it's still not a huge sample size, but it's not bad. So we'll see tonight whether or not the Avs can put them down 2-0, which they've been down once already in these playoffs, and if they can give them their first loss in a Game 2 of a Stanley Cup final. So, yeah, for Tampa Bay, I would not be surprised if they have a big bounce back, and, it should be an interesting night of hockey that we've got ahead of us. Next up is Pierre LeBrun's reporting that Jeff Petry's name is back on the block. Now, the one team that he's reporting on that would make some sense, I'll go ahead and agree with. Dallas is likely not going to be able to keep John Klingberg unless his term or money comes down a little bit. what was being reported out there, which was 8 years, and I think it was like 8 million. It was a very high number that Klingberg wanted, and I understand this might be Klingberg's one chance to really cash in on the free agent market. But for the Dallas Stars, if they don't decide to bring him back, it would make some sense for Petry to maybe be that addition. Dallas could use another defenseman. Petry's a veteran. He's coming off of what was a rough year, but he finished the season strong, and I think he can have a bounce back year, so it might make sense for Dallas. The question then being, what would Montreal be looking for? Is it a case of prospects and draft picks? Is it a case of maybe they want to bring in a forward? Maybe maybe to be a 1-for-1 deal. We shall see. But Petry's name is on the block, so look for a lot of speculation there. Again, I'm only talking about Dallas because LeBrun mentions it, and it would make some sense on just a paper level. And that's how a lot of trade rumors get started, is that you'll look at a team's depth chart and you'll say, well, they could use a winger. This winger from that team looks like they're available. Maybe this is a match. And then next thing you know, other people go, yeah, that'll work. And then you've got all these trade speculatives that circle back. And anyways, let me know your thoughts regarding Petry. If you're a Montreal fan, do you want to see him get traded? Do you not? It'll be interesting to see if they do trade that contract. Sammy Blais. This actually happened a couple days ago. He signs a 1-year, $1.5 million contract extension with the New York Rangers. Blais, of course, acquired from the St. Louis Blues in the Buchnevich deal. A deal which I think most people would say St. Louis won, but I will say this. Blais is not going to cost them what Buchnevich would have, and I think Blais is a very good bottom six forward who just got hurt this year. Really is a matter of him getting hurt and not being able to return. I think if the Rangers had made it to the final, I get the feeling he might have been available, because there were rumblings about whether or not he was going to be available as that series against Tampa went along. So I don't think Blais was far off. So glad to see he gets an extension, and we'll see what he does with the Rangers next year, hopefully staying healthy. And then another signing, Liam Foudy, who only played one game for Columbus this year, a player that I liked in his previous call-ups, signs a 2-year extension at $762,000 per year. Foudy, I like Liam Foudy still. I understand that he's had a rough last couple of years in the Columbus organization, and I don't know if he's, like, it's a 2-way deal for this coming season, and then it's a 1-way deal the year after. All that means is that he gets paid the same in the AHL as he does in the NHL in year 2 of the deal. And so we'll see how things go for Foudy this year. But again, I like the player, so I hope he does well. Just fingers crossed on that one. And then last but not least, John Tortorella. So he talked to the press yesterday, and he's really confident in the fit with Philly. He likes the fit with the general manager, gets along with Chuck Fletcher. He thinks that the team is a perfect fit. And honestly, if you look back in Philadelphia's history, John Tortorella, kind of, a rough around the edges kind of coach that has a bit of a fiery personality. That works for Philly, right? So he's saying all the right things. He apparently is very excited. I've seen posts and comments about Cam Atkinson and his future in Philly. I don't know. I would imagine one of the first things Tortorella would do would be to sit down with Cam and talk to Cam about it. He's going to want to keep this team, in good spirits and turn things around. I don't think that Philly is as bad off as the record this year would tell you, but I don't know what kind of an effect Tortorella is going to have in the locker room either, because he had a positive effect in Columbus. He seems to have learned, and he mentioned too, he feels he's better with the young players now than he might have been, years back. But, Vancouver, things were, and towards the end with the Rangers. So things can be pretty explosive with Tortorella, but they're never boring. So with him behind the bench again, we'll see what that does for Philly. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.